You know, a long time ago, the Sama used to get away with that. Used to be able to go to the international community and tell the international community, oh, it's really the problem with the Indians. They're a little bit stupid. They don't know what the hell they're doing. That's how come they're poor. You know, we're trying to educate them. We set up residential schools for them, and that even failed. Then we run all these welfare programs for them, and even that's failing. But they can't justify standing up in the international community and say, oh, the only land these people are entitled to have is 0.2%. They can't say that. They cannot say that. You know, because the only reason we have 0.2% is because if you read the Chillicothe case, go to paragraph 69, and it'll say in that paragraph that when the British asserted European sovereignty over British Columbia, that gave the province underlying title to all of BC. That's what it says. And you need to think about what that really means. That's about as racist as the law that used to say that a white man could own a black man as a slave. The same thing. 155 years ago, they used to have laws like that on this planet, that a white man could own a black man as a slave. Same time they used to say a white person can claim a non-native, an indigenous person's land and get underlying title forever. And that Indian will have to live in poverty in perpetuity forever. They used to be able to get away with that. They can't get away with that no more. You know, they cannot justify that no more. They can get away with it here in Canada, but at the international level they can't. In Geneva, Switzerland, where they deal with matters of human rights, they can't get away with it. You know, if you can't get justice in this country, you'll have to get justice outside this country. And that's where we need to think about. Because the only justice they say you can get is the treaties under the BC treaty process here in BC. That's the justice they say you can get. And that's the big question the Northern Secwepemc have to face. Are we going to accept that? You know, because really all you're going to get out of that deal, according to the formula that Russ exposed, is just a few more acres. Not a hell of a lot. It's not going to give you the amount of land to be self-sufficient. You know, I was down and I took a trip down to Yakima Indian Reservation down in the United States to visit a friend of mine. His name is Haver Jim. He's charged of the Yakima Timber Council, timber mill down there. And they've been operating in Yakima for decades. You know how much they market the Yakima timber mill a year? $77 million. You know what I mean? They have a whole whack of different timber operators from their reservation working on the timber. Because that reserve is more the size, up to about 1 million acres, that you can actually start becoming self-sufficient. These communities that the treaty process are putting forward wouldn't even do that. Not even close. You know, when I talk about this 0.2 and this 99.8 with the non-natives, I say in Canada, it's the second largest country in the world. And we only have a population of 35 million, and out of that 35 million, 1 million is us. Why do we always need to be the poorest people in the country? When I say you need to take a look at British Columbia, British Columbia is the largest California, Oregon, and Washington state combined, and we only have a population of 4.5 million, in BC, and 200,000 of them are us Indigenous people. You know what the population of California is? 38 million. It's larger than Canada. You know, and that territory can support all that amount of people. How come in BC we have to be poor generation after generation and stuck on these little Indian reserves? You know, that's racism. That's just as racist as slave law used to say that a white man could own a black man. You know, the underlying title of all of Secwepemc territory belongs to us as Secwepemc people. The underlying title. It doesn't matter if it's under this building or underneath the Royal Bank downtown or out at Sugarcane. It doesn't matter where it is. The underlying title, all under all the land, is ours. Because the government, the courts have actually got it backwards. Because they try to say, if you talk to a white man lawyer, he'll say that the underlying title is Crown title, and that Aboriginal title is a burden on the Crown title. That's what a white man lawyer would say. It's actually backwards. Because if Crown title was really the underlying title, the day it was declared in 1864, then it would extinguish Aboriginal title. But because it never extinguished Aboriginal title, it really means that Aboriginal title is more superior than Crown title. That's how come it still exists. Because throughout the province of British Columbia, every square inch is covered by some kind of provincially created property right. Whether it be fee simple, whether it be a timber license, a mineral license, a highway right-of-way, a power line right-of-way, a hydro dam interest. There's all kinds of provincially created property interests throughout the province. Therefore, if that property could extinguish our title, that would mean that Crown title was the underlying title. And so we need to say, no, it's the opposite. But the only place we say that is to the United Nations Human Rights Committee in Geneva, Switzerland, that our title is the underlying title. And we challenge the Canadian government to prove that the underlying title is Crown title. Because the only way they can prove it is if they will stand up in the United Nations and say that Queen Elizabeth had the power to get that underlying title from us. And if they're going to be that racist, I know there's going to be some people from India. They sit on that Human Rights Committee, you know, and they hate racism and colonization just like we do, because they were colonized by the British, you know. You know, when I was before a CERD committee one time, I went to see the lady from India to ask her if she read my stuff, and she said she did, and then she sort of repeated some things I said in the document. It was a kind of thick document I submitted. And I asked her if she was going to ask questions. She said she was. She says, because Canada is one of the most racist countries in the world, you know. And she believes that because of the perpetual and systemic, generation after generation, impoverishment of our people. You have to be really callous, downright dirty, racist dog to put up with that kind of stuff, you know?
End it now!
End it now. You know, that's what sovereignty is really all about. People really feeling, yeah, we're right, and we want to create a fundamentally different Canada, one that's based on recognition and affirmation of Aboriginal and treaty rights, like the Constitution says, because we're not asking for anything more than what we already put on the table. We already got there. We're just asking for an implementation of that on the ground. You know, so those are very fundamental things that self-determination is involving, because self-determination has to first address the issue of the 0.2%. And building up a whole new, I guess, the economy that's based on that kind of new direction. And the pressure's on us and the pressure's on Canada, really, because of the economic uncertainty that is generated because of Aboriginal title. And you need to take a look at this map that we had worked out here, and like Russ is pointing out there, it shows the Secwepemc territory, and it shows the